Alright, for this skill builder, we're going to learn about colored pencils, and you're going to be challenged to color a coloring sheet with colored pencils using all of these techniques. So let's just run through those techniques really quick. First one is shading. So shading is just a straightforward side-to-side shading motion. A smooth, even layer of color is built up. A very light touch can be used to deposit the faintest amount of pigment for a graduated shading. What that means is you can start heavy and go light. So here for like my B, let's say I want to have it go from dark to light. You're just going to go side to side. You're not making lines really. You can even almost do these little light circular motions. And then go and just press lighter as you get to the bottom to where it just almost is white there on that B. And then if you want it to be even darker, we can go back in. You can switch directions. So I'm shading now, going up and down, so side to side. And then you can press really dark right along the top. So that is shading. So somewhere on your coloring sheet, you're gonna have to use a little bit of shading with your colored pencil, okay? Shading, check. The next one is hatching. That's rapid, regular, even-spaced lines. Drawing where you leave a little bit of white paper for, or an underlying color below. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna I'm gonna shade a couple of these hearts. And hatching would be where you take a color and you just draw little lines like that. So if you do it on top of another color, the other color shows through, but if you did it just on the white paper, then just the white shows through. And that can be a nice texture, just changing it up, okay? So that's hatching. Now cross hatching is where you do hatching, but you do different angles. So on this heart, I can do that. I'll do these lines like this, and then I can change it up and do them in the other direction. I'm gonna change the colors. Here's some cross hatching. So that's cross hatching. Kind of two different directions of hatching. Boom. Scumbling. So the scrum pad method of tiny overlapping circles. So think of like those green sort of scrubby pads. They have all these little like coiled up little pieces. That's kind of what we're doing. And that can be a nice texture for maybe like this llama, the fur. It might be nice if I do that scumbling technique. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of make little circles. And you can also do scumbling on top of another color. So let's say that I shaded the leg of this llama, then I could take this blue and scumble on top of that shading to create that texture. And it gets a little bit more dynamic, doesn't it? Okay, so scumbling, done. Next up, directional marks. So these are short little lines which follow a contour or the direction of the hair or grass or surfaces. So with this llama, I don't have as much, but for the heart, let's do that. I could do a contour line, like pretend this is a three-dimensional heart. It's sort of popping up. What I could do is sort of curve my lines like this to gonna go follow the contour of that heart. Scratched marks. This is one where I forgot to grab like a push pin, but this is what we're gonna do. You can take a color and go ahead and just color it nice and dark on there. And then you can take another color and color it on top. And then they kind of sharp like a push pin. And you can actually kind of scratch into it a little bit. So I don't know if you can see that. Let's see if we can get up close. There you go. See those scratches that are in there? If you do it too much, you're gonna cut your paper. But you can kind of play around with adding little scratches in there if you put it on nice and thick. So that's the scratching technique. Next up, so we got scratched marks. Basic overlay is layering a colored pencil to create a mixed color. So for example, if you mix yellow and blue together, you're gonna get kind of a green. So let's see if it works here. We're gonna take our yellow and a blue. And you can see that they kind of make a green when they mix. So that there is basic overlay. So you're overlaying two colors. So this is where it's helpful to know your primary colors, which are yellow, red, and blue. Those are the primaries. When you mix two of them together, they're going to make a new color. If you mix colors that are opposite on the color wheel, like red and green are opposites, they're gonna end up making kind of a brown color. So let's just see real quick. If I do that brown and then I do a red on top, it's gonna create more of a muted color. Whereas if I use my red and then yellow, which are both primary colors, it's gonna make a beautiful bright orange, okay? So, it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to make something like bark, tree bark, that might be a nice thing to do red and green together. All right, next up, basic overlay. We did that. Burnishing. Layer colored pencil with strong pressure so that the white or the tooth of the paper is filled and it's a very smooth surface. That's where it almost looks like it's painted. So if we color in this heart really, really dark, so it almost looks like it's painted, really dark. I kind of did that over here too. So that's called burnishing, where it's very dark. Last but not least, multicolor gradation. So basically that just means it's gradually going from one color to the next. So if I wanted to do that here, how about let's do this fence post where I have it kind of go from pink, and I'm gonna go lighter so that it can fade into yellow, and they kind of overlap a little bit, and then it can fade into orange. So it's a multicolor gradation, so it's gradually going from one color to the next, okay? And then there's one more thing I wanted to show you that's not on this list, but I do have some of these saved up, carefully stashed away, hiding. They are Prismacolor colorless blenders. And so what that means is it does not add any color to your drawing, but it will blend the colors together on your paper if you spent some time and laid them out nice and carefully. So here we can see this. I'm able to blend these two colors together, so I'll just do half and half. So some people like the look of that. So there we can see kind of that it started to blend these two colors a little bit more, okay? I could also use it up here on this B. Let's see here, sorry guys, shaky camera. And I had some dirty stuff on that, so it's kind of smearing it a little bit. You can wipe it on a scrap piece of paper if it gets dirty. All right, so it kind of smooths it out a bit more. So that's kind of fun to play around with the colorless blender. All right, so that's that. Mine's kind of a mess, but I want you to really spend some time using these techniques on a coloring sheet. Do your best you can. If you want to make your own drawing and not use a coloring sheet, then that's even better.